Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Bayou Time and some great news here in Terrebonne Parish. On Saturday, Jason Serenier of HTV was there to capture the moment for Mr. C.J. Christ. Of course, you know his idea and his legacy will always include the Regional Military Museum. Well, there was a dedication and a naming of part of the atrium at the Regional Military Museum. We were there at HTV and we captured the moment.
We would like to welcome you today to a special occasion to recognize the one who had the vision and the foresight. Oh, it hurts me to say it, he was Air Force, but he had vision and foresight to begin this. You know, not often does someone who comes up with an idea, a vision and foresight to do something, actually see the creation of that which he envisioned or she envisioned. And today we have that opportunity to not only see, be in the vision, but to also be in the company of our special honored guests who did that. I would like to now call on Mart Black, who is the board president of the Regional Military Museum, for a few comments.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I want to welcome you to the house that CJ built. You know, it was through his vision, dedication, and drive that this building, this facility, this museum became a reality. It was a dream come true for him and a source of great community pride for us. It was through his determination, his fundraising prowess, and his reputation that major artifacts such as Air Force One in a gallery next door, the Scorpion here, and the Phantom across the street, and many other artifacts became part of our growing collection. Because of his vision, it is because of his vision that the museum has grown from a one-room former car dealership building, which dated from the mid-1940s, to the magnificent edifice you see here today. And today, this gallery, with all that hangs from its ceilings, adorning its walls, and parked around us, will forever be known as the C.J. Christ wing of the Regional Military Museum. Thank you, C.J. Thank you, C.J. Well deserved.
And I think as I stand here, it is so fitting and appropriate, we recognize C.J. And if you'll notice, the C.J. Christ wing, only one wing, not wings, not annex, wing. I think it's such a fitting tribute. A man who is dedicated, once he finished his service, he remained in aviation and continued to this day and to preserve and protect history. We've always said and always know, and we must recognize, you have to know where you have been and know where you are to know where you're going. And C.J. Christ epitomizes that. He knows where we were. Many of the artifacts you see here today were in many storages throughout the parish, in attics, and C.J., with a passion and a commitment and a dedication, decided, let's do something about it to tell our story, the story of those citizens who from the Bayou parishes served our great country. And whatever it takes to do that, let's do it. And while we have Air Force One here, it was the plane that flew the president from Washington to Gettysburg. I need not tell you which president that was. But it's an attraction to bring folks in to see. Every item, every artifact here, at one time or another, has been touched or serviced, or a representative of that artifact was touched or serviced by someone from the Bayou parishes in services of our country. If you walk around and you look, every item in here has been touched by CJ. Every item in here has been, let me use a word that's not politically correct, but was hustled, meaning he went out and got it. If he had to wheel and deal, he got it. If he got something he didn't need, he got it and traded it for that which we needed. That's a visionary. And I'm often reminded about the artist who was at an art display. And the art critic came up to him and said, "Sir, which among these works hanging on the wall is your greatest?" He looked around and he responded, "My next one." For C.J. Christ, when you look around, the greatest is going to be the next one, the next acquisition, the next step, the next growth. And I think we all owe C.J. Christ the appropriate recognition. Thank you, sir.
I had no idea when Mart asked to borrow my speech that he was going to use it. I came to the museum in 2006 as a guest of a member. I was volunteering at another location, and at that first meeting, very first meeting, C.J. Christ says, "We desperately need volunteers, even if it's just for 1 hour a week." So I went home and I told my wife, I said, "I think I'm gonna volunteer at the museum 1 day a week." And when I arrived, I realized that this museum had a building infested with pigeon poop in the back end and no artifacts, very few artifacts. And we were gonna get busy, we were gonna create a museum. And through it all, we noticed that the computer that was here was an old DOS computer that didn't work. The museum didn't own a truck. The museum didn't own a camera. So my wife said, "What are you gonna do?" I said, "Well, they're gonna use my truck, they're gonna use my camera. We're gonna get this museum going." And this man was inspirational to me because his vision is, he knew what was gonna happen. I didn't. I wasn't, what we're gonna do? He said, we're gonna build a museum. And through the course of the time, as we grew, we were able to, here and there, gather a few funds, but then we realized that we needed a Veteran Memorial District. And to do a Veteran Memorial District, we had to go to Baton Rouge and mingle with the politicians. So CJ and I made several trips to committee meetings and that meeting and that meeting. So finally, we got the Veteran Memorial District going, which provided the funds for this facility. But I was proud to say that I was with this man for the past 12 years, and he is the reason that we're here today. And I thank you, sir.
It's going to be difficult for me to ask CJ to say a few words since they're not scripted, and the Air Force generally reads a script. But today, you don't have to, you want? I think let's recognize him and give him a round.
First place, thank you very much. And I asked Tutu to write my script, and she said she'd do it, and she only put 2 words in it. Thank you. But I do have to make a remark to defend myself. The Air Force, yes, we flew airplanes during the war, and the Navy ran ships all over the oceans, and the Army ran all over beaches and ran all over Europe. The Air Force got there, dropped 2 bombs, and the war was over.
Touche. 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 And it's, as we talk about that's within jest, you know, CJ and Will's comments brings you to where we are today. But in between that, if you'll notice, there's a little camaraderie and harassment. And CJ, I would be remiss if I didn't remember some of the things you told me and guided me with along my career. He would mentor me. First, CJ, on behalf, it pains me to a degree to give you an Air Force tie purchased. So I'm giving you just a little memento from me to you as a personal memento, and thank you. And you know, CJ flew bombers during the Korean War, and to be in the presence of a Korean War vet is very humbling for those of us, particularly those of us who were the ground pounders, because I know when we were out, we always looked, and the sound of an aircraft coming from behind us was also comforting news. When you sit here and you think everything that CJ experienced back then, that was before they had MREs. The meals they were given were in tin cans. Just think how far we have come, how far our aviation assets have advanced. And we thank you for that, CJ, for the role you played and your service and your family service. And recognize your family who's here. Please, CJ's family, stand up and let's recognize them, because wouldn't be possible without them. Because for many of you, you're hearing some things for the first time, I'm sure. Now, another thing is I mentioned as we get ready to close, and I'll ask the Air Force chaplain behind me for forgiveness first and then for a benediction, is CJ, he and I have always had a little banter back and forth. And one day I had to come to the museum for something, and I was getting ready to leave, and it was raining. And he said, wait a minute, I'll go get an umbrella. I said, CJ, I'm in the Army. Our philosophy is it doesn't rain in the Army, it only rains on it. We don't use umbrellas. And I said, if we need an umbrella, we usually get someone from the Air Force to carry it for us. So CJ, I've got you a camouflage umbrella.
Certainly a well-deserved day for Mr. C.J. Christ. He has spent so much time and energy into making Terrebonne Parish the home for the Regional Military Museum. We were glad to be there with HTV. We wish Mr. C.J. well in his endeavors, and we know that he's always thinking about the next piece of equipment that will be arriving in Houma. We'll be back with more on Bayou Time.